Would you be interested in building your podcast in less than 15 minutes with no experience whatsoever? I would. And what I'm about to show you is how you can do it based on what I've created using ChatGPT. So we'll start right here. I'm going to copy this prompt that I created and drop this bad boy. I'm using ChatGPT 4 right here. So what I'm calling this is Rob Cressy Podcast Launch GPT version 1.0. And what I'm tasking it with is turning ChatGPT into a world-class brand builder and podcast launch assistant. So back to here. Now we've got prompt number 2. So I'm just going to copy this. And what this is all of the instructions that I am feeding into ChatGPT. This is where I am telling it, this is how I want you to act as my ChatGPT podcast launch assistant. So what this will do is ask questions for each step of the podcast launch process, one step at the time. So all you've got to do is answer the questions. So number 1, can you help me define my podcast topic? So what topic or industry will your podcast focus on? And I'll just create a fake one. Personal growth and self-improvement. Great. Thank you for providing your podcast topic. Now let's move on to step 2, demographic. Wonderful. So who is my perfect listener or target demographic? We will say high performers, entrepreneurs, business leaders. Cool. Once again, it confirms, thank you for the demographic. Why are we asking these questions? Because the more clear you are on what your topic is, who your demographic is, the better the content that you can create for your podcast. All right, number 3, who is hosting this? Will this be self-hosted or do you plan on having a co-host? Oh, I plan on doing this by myself, so I'm going to self-host this. So I'm self-hosting. Great. So it confirms that we're doing that. Let's move on to step 4. Podcast type. Will this be an interview show, topic-based, or both? I'm going to say both. Sometimes I like to do a solo episode. Sometimes I like to bring a guest on. So what we're doing right now is going through every single one of the steps in this process that I would ask you one-on-one when we are working together. All right. Next, podcast cadence. How often do you plan on posting new episodes of your podcast? Well, you know what? I want to do this once a week. So we'll call this weekly. Wonderful. We just now know from a consistency standpoint when that's going to happen. Up next, we've got podcast recording time. And this is so important because so many people, when they struggle at launching a podcast, it's because of a lack of consistency. And it's a lack of consistency because they never choose what time every single week they're going to record their podcast. So by simply answering what time every week you're going to record your podcast, it makes it a lot easier to record it. So ideally, when would you love to do it each week? Be specific on the day of the week and time and for how long. All right. On Mondays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. 10 a.m. So I would be batch recording this. So I would do all of my episodes in 2 hours. Nice and simple. So in this instance, I'm only going to record my podcast one day a week for 2 hours, and it'll be a month's worth of content. Nice and simple. Now it's time to create your podcast name. Do you have any names already or specific words you like? Ooh, what words do we like? I don't have a ton of names. A few words I like. Self-mastery. Let's write that. So here's 10 names for you around self-mastery. Wow. It's giving the exact title of your episode as well as a description of this. And man, you don't even have to think right now. And one of the areas that so many creators are challenged is they get stuck on the name of their podcast. One of the things that you can do, you use ChatGPT to create names for you. If you don't like any of these 10 names, you say, give me 10 more. Use this word. But I'm someone, since I've done this over 1,000 times, I'm going to say, I'm just going to choose one of these. So which one do I like the best? The Self-Mastery Blueprint, building a roadmap to success for business leaders and high achievers. Great. So I'm going to respond back into this. Letting it know, copy. I like this. Great. Now we have the name of our show, the Self-Mastery Blueprint. Now it's time to create your podcast description. And this automatically does it for you because we've built this into the GPT prompt. So what it says is, the Self-Mastery Blueprint is a weekly podcast for high performers, entrepreneurs, and business leaders who seek personal growth and self-improvement. Join us as we explore inspiring stories, actionable insight, and transformative strategies to help unlock your full potential and become the master of your own success. Wow, that's great. All I would do to change this is change join us to join Rob Cressy. Piece of cake, don't have to think about it. And remember, version 1.0 is better than version 0.0. So you can always change this. The name of the game that we're playing right now is Launch Your Podcast. So I'm going to say, nope, that's great. All right. So now it has helped us create the name. We understand what this is about. It's created the demographic. It's created the description. So now we're moving on to step 10, and it's time for us to create our podcast intro and outro. And holy smokes, Batman, it's actually doing this for us already. So what it does is I built this in to automatically take you to the next step, which is your intro and outro. So it's welcome to the Self-Mastery Blueprint, where high performers, entrepreneurs, and business leaders unlock their full potential through personal growth and self-improvement. I'm your host, Rob Cressy. And then now the outro. And thank you for joining us on the Self-Mastery Blueprint. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the show. Don't forget to connect with us on social media and join our community of like-minded individuals on their journey to success. Until next time, keep striving for mastery in every aspect of your life. Wow, this is great. I haven't even had to think almost at all on this. Now moving on to step 11. Now it's time to create podcast ideas. Please provide any specific subjects or topics of personal growth and self-improvement you would like to focus on, or particular guests you have in mind. So this is where you can bring something to the table, or you can say, hey, I want you to create 5 episodes for me. And I'm going to say, I want you to do it. I want you to create my first 5 episodes, make them value-driven and entertaining and impactful. So I'm telling it exactly what I want. I want value-driven, entertaining, and impactful. And what is it going ahead and do? Boom. Not only is it our first 5 episodes, but it is giving 5 bullet points from each episode of what you can talk about. And the key in all of this is the blueprint. You say, I like this, I don't like this. You remove what you don't like, you put something new in there. But once again, the name of this game is let's launch your podcast as fast as we humanly can. That way you can start reaping the rewards of growing your brand, creating positive impact, and doing the thing that you actually want to do. So here we go. These are our first 5 episodes with everything. So now we literally don't even need to think about what to do next. And one of the things that you could have done is saying, hey, give me a list of 20. But we are keeping this simple. And oh my goodness, the good news is the way that we've built this, it's already moving on to the next step where it is creating the trailer for episode 0, where you do not need to even think about this. What is episode 0? This is the preview. It's the trailer saying, you know what? I'm Rob Cressy, and this is my brand new self-improvement and personal growth program or podcast, and this is what this is about. So it is giving you the script, and I believe this is within a 3-minute episode 0. So you can literally go in here, and I'm just going to go, welcome to the Self-Mastery Blueprint, the podcast that empowers high performers, entrepreneurs, and business leaders to unlock their full potential through personal growth and self-improvement. I'm Rob Cressy, your host and guide on this journey. All right, so now we're moving on to the show notes template. So every episode you create show notes. Wow. We've got episode title, date, name, bio, episode description. So it looks like it stopped right here. Please continue after in this episode of. Remember, this is technology. So at times, everything isn't going to go 100 perfect, but we're accelerating the speed of all of this. So it gives the episode description that we've got right here. And what we ended up doing is having it use episode 1 as the sample for the show notes that we want it to create for us. So look at this. It just created the name of the podcast, the description, our first 5 episodes, the bullet points from each of the episodes, our episode 0 script, and our show notes script. And then finally, what we've got here is I have it creating your podcast launch brand summary, because everything that we have right there, I want to make sure that you are able to then take this for yourself and see exactly what we just created. This is your podcast. And I haven't checked my timer yet. It looks like we've been doing this for 12 minutes right now. We just built a podcast in 12 minutes from scratch by only asking questions. And at the end, it summarized this entire thing. This is literally the easiest way you can humanly launch a podcast known to man. And a lot of people, it takes 30, 45 days. And among other things, I'm a coach for brand building and helping thought leaders launch their podcasts. And people work with me one-on-one, but congratulations. We are just changing the game because I'm so committed to growth in my own business as well as creating impact in yours that I spent the time to create this for you to make this even easier. So there is literally no reason possible why you don't launch a podcast. So now, instead of this taking a month or 45 days, you can then have this launched in a week, or you could have this launched in 1 day, because here's your entire podcast right here in 15 minutes. And all you get to do is record episode 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And of course, in the process of becoming a master creator and a brand builder and a podcaster and a thought leader, there are some more nuances to this. And that's where I come in, helping you be a better host, understanding where you're hosting these things. There's so much more that we can dive into, but I created this for you. So if you're someone who's interested in launching your podcast fast, effortless, fun, so you can build your brand and create a lot of positive impact in the world, hit me up, rob@robcressy.com, or on all social media platforms @Rob Cressy.